On today's show, the Mavs go up 3-0 against the Wolves in the Western Conference Finals. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, an elite closing duo. Daniel Gafford stepping up in a big way on both ends, and so much more. It's all coming up on today's Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up and welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA, the biggest stories with the local experts. I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, also host of Locked On Rockets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Joining us now is the host of Locked On Mavs and Locked On NBA, Nick Angstadt, who you can track down wherever you listen to your podcasts or on YouTube. Just search Locked On Mavs. Still in the building after the Dallas Mavericks 116-107 Game 3 win. Now up 3-0 in this Western Conference Finals series against the Wolves. And Nick, honestly, man, Mavs led by as many as 12 in this game, but then there was that third quarter where Anthony Edwards woke up a little bit. He had the dunk over Gafford, and the Wolves kind of looked like they were gaining control of this game. How did the Mavs kind of wrestle that back from them there at the top of the fourth quarter when the Wolves kind of jumped ahead, and how were they able to ultimately close this one out?
Because that's what they do. This Mavs team has become a resilient bunch ever since they added P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford. They now have this baseline of a really good defense that has now become the best defense in the NBA. And it's wild to watch this team just be calm, take on the mentality of their coach, take on the mentality of their star player in Kyrie and in Luka, have the confidence that those two stars can get them to wherever they want to go at any moment. As long as they keep it close in any game against any team, this team believes that they can win. And you see that belief in so many different players and fully embodied in somebody like Jaden Hardy, who plays 11 minutes, hits 2 shots, goes to the free throw line 4 times, hits 3 of those. And you'd go, you know what? He contributed a little bit, but why are you bringing up Jaden Hardy so early in this? The confidence that these stars give to the players is fully embodied in a guy like Jaden Hardy, who hadn't played well all season, had kind of taken a step back, if we're really going to be honest about his season this year. He comes into this, and all of a sudden, he's starting to make a big impact. He leapfrogs a guy like Dante Exum, who at points during the Mavs season had been their third most important player. He leapfrogs Tim Hardaway Jr., who was the highest paid player on this Mavericks team. And he's making an impact because of the mentality that Jason Kidd has instilled in this team of just being calm, not getting too high, not getting too low. We're always in it. We have the defense. And Luka and Kyrie giving him the confidence that, hey, if you keep it close, we're going to go out there and we'll win it.
There was some just absolutely insane shot making on both sides of the floor in this game, in this fourth quarter. You had near the tail end, though, of regulation before the final buzzer sounded, right? You had a big-time shot by Luka, then another big-time shot by Kyrie, but it was Daniel Gafford that put like the massive exclamation point on this game, had the block on Mike Conley driving the lane. It was only a two-possession game at that point. He was driving the lane. He blocks Conley with just under a minute to go, and then on the other end, he comes up big with the alley-oop dagger set up by Luka. Just how impressive was his contribution in this game, especially coming on the heels, unfortunately, right, of losing Dereck Lively, who's been so good for the Mavs this postseason.
Yeah, Dereck Lively has been the best big in this series at certain moments and stretches of this game, or in this series. But Daniel Gafford, he stepped up in a big way later in this game. They needed him. They needed him to just come in and be steady, come in and do a couple of things, come in and make a couple of big plays. And that's exactly what he did, what you mentioned before. They call him the landlord around here. The rent is due, and sometimes the rent is due in really big moments, and he did that in this game. And he only had 5 points, only had 3 rebounds. You look at his stat line, you go, man, that guy really didn't do a lot. But 3 blocks, and this Mavs defense is predicated on just sending all these guys, sending Anthony Edwards, sending Conley, sending whoever is going to drive, take some shots, sending it to help, and sending it to Daniel Gafford underneath the rim. And he's done a great job standing in there, being big, being strong, being physical, fighting with other guys for rebounds. I mean, he's like in the Brook Lopez mold where he's not going to bring down a lot of boards, but he's fighting and clawing and scratching against every single guy under the rim that helps other guys get rebounds too. Daniel Gafford has been impactful. He's been, big for this Mavericks team. He's had struggles in this playoffs, but now like you said, if Dereck Lively is going to miss some time, which, he in the second quarter, he gets hit in the knee in the back of the head. He falls down. He's down for a while holding his head. He gets up. He looks a little woozy. The Mavs are calling it a neck strain. He was questionable to return. Then all of a sudden he was out for the rest of the game. And now we're kind of waiting to see if there's any concussion-like symptoms or anything like that with Dereck Lively. He's been so massive in this. But if the Mavs are going to withstand that and get one more win to get to the NBA Finals and give Dereck Lively some time to come back, Daniel Gafford has to be big. Maybe Dwight Powell gets more minutes like he did. And maybe the Mavs go small like they tried to do in the fourth quarter.
First off, prayers up to Dereck Lively, because it's always scary when a player spends that much time on the floor, especially after like an inadvertent shot to the head area, the back of the head specifically where he got hit. It's always really scary. So hopefully nothing serious for him. I got to hit you with a stat, Nick, and I'm sure you found this stat. I'm sure you've seen this stat elsewhere, but 181 points on 63 of 128 shooting for Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving in this series, compared to just 111 points on 37 of 110 shooting for Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns. Is it just that simple that Dallas's stars have thoroughly outplayed the Wolves stars to this point in the series, which is why it's 3-0 in the way that it looks so far?
Yes. Yes, it is. It has been that simple, basically, because anything else can happen. The Timberwolves can shoot really well from three, which they have in the first two halves of game 1 and 2. Then the Mavs shoot terribly from three, and like they did in game 2. Then the Mavs shoot really well from three in game 3, like in this one. Mavs get a ton of free throws in this one too. But the equalizer has been those stars go out and produce. And that Anthony Edwards has not really evolved into that closer yet. Like you wish he was. He may be in like the secondary Pokemon evolution of it, but he hasn't hit that third level. Like he's not the Charizard Blastoise yet of a closer in the playoffs. He's 22. You wouldn't expect that from a player of anybody else, but he all of a sudden started to get hyped up so much because it's so fun to watch him. His dunk on Daniel Gafford was absolutely insane. It made this arena go, hold on, that was against our team. I should be devastated.
But that was like kind of pretty cool that he did that.
Like the Russell Westbrook, like kind of eating the Skittles off on the side meme from the bench where he's just, okay.
It's like, you know what? Gotta admit, it was pretty cool to be able to see that in person, to watch it, and it's an insane feats of athleticism. But the Mavs defense has to get a lot of credit for what they're doing to Anthony Edwards. They're making him take these tough mid-range shots, which Shai Gilgeous-Alexander welcomed that. He said, yes, thank you. Please make me take these tough mid-range shots. That's all I do my entire career is take these tough mid-range shots, and he hit a bunch of them. He was really good doing that. But Anthony Edwards takes 35% of his shots at the rim. He's not getting those same kind of attempts unless he just jumps over the Mavs center, which he did in that quarter. But if he's not getting those types of shots, what other shots is he getting? He's forced a lot of threes early, which is a lot of his attempts, but now he's getting these tough mid-range jumpers. And if you're going to try and beat the Mavs doing that, it's going to be really tough. For Karl-Anthony Towns, what I'm seeing from him, I'm curious what Ben Beacon had to say about it. What Towns has to do is let the game come to him. He is so talented. He has so many options in front of him, so many things he can do at 7 foot. He wants to be a guard so bad because he has those skills. You see them. But when he forces it, when he forces the issue, or when Chris Finch has that crazy film session after game 1 going into game 2 where he just like berates everybody, Cat comes out and goes, all right, I'm going to be the guy to step up. I'm going to be the guy to do this. And then he forces shots. He gets into foul trouble, and he does a little bit too much. When he tries too hard, him and Drake, there's so many little parallels between these two. But when they try too hard, it just doesn't work. When you let it come to you, when you let it, let the art or let the game flow out of you, it works a lot better. And just for some reason, when he tries too hard, it just doesn't come as easy to him. And he has another game like this where he's 5 of 18 in this game, missed all 8 of his threes, and some of them didn't even look close at times.
We got a Pokemon reference and a Drake reference in the same Locked on NBA segment from you, Nick.
Look at the same answer. Was it the same answer?
It was the same answer. In fact, actually, that's incredible. What's ultimately going to happen in Game 4? Can the Mavericks close this thing out and head to the NBA Finals? You're going to have us covered for all of that and so much more over at Locked on Mavs. Nick, thanks for stopping by Locked on NBA with me.